Namaste, everyone. In today's taboo conversation, we're going to discuss about meaningless sex. What is meaningless sex? Meaningless sex is a part of the millennial vocabulary. So the millennial vocabulary, there is ghosting, there is fuckboy, there is so many words. Even twerking came about from the millennials, and we also have meaningless sex. And meaningless sex is at an all-time high when it comes to the millennial generation. Meaningless sex is when you strip friendship, you strip vulnerability, you strip intimacy, which is having to share and care for someone else, and you strip heartfelt, you strip soulfulness. That's meaningless sex. It is purely just to take the edge off, and it's purely for release. Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit restless, I'm feeling a little anxious, I need to stimulate my sex energy so I can feel like I'm moving. Okay? That's what meaningless sex is. I need to move some energy within me. So I don't know how to move the energy, so I'm going to try to move it with the sex partner. And then after, it was just to move energy. I didn't really want to get to know you. Honestly, I don't even feel like there's a connection. Okay, that's meaningless sex. So now, meaningless sex, like I said, it's at an all-time high. And what's happening is that it's actually creating more emptiness within the young generation. And I'm going to show you the difference between women who have meaningless sex and men who have meaningless sex. So overall, we'll get into men first, and then we'll get into the overall view. When men have meaningless sex, what it does is that, what I've seen, okay, I'm like a Scorpio energy, so I love to dive into everybody's psyches and see what's going on. It's like you can't lie to a Scorpio, right? I can just like see into your psyche. So what I've seen in these group of men is that when they have meaningless sex, they lose respect for women, okay? And they start to view sex in a very, I want to say the word dirty, but I also want to say very unloving. It becomes very just flesh, just flesh on flesh. And that becomes very dirty, like Yogi Bhajan, a mop in a bucket. I'm just kind of putting my mop in your bucket. So it's very fleshy, it's very cold, it's very detached, and it's very unfulfilling. And it creates this disrespect for women. And I've seen many men who have this attachment to women, okay, but then they also have this disrespect for women, okay? And also, men who have this meaningless sex, they tend to experience depression. Both women and men experience a depression. Okay, well, you just don't feel good about yourself. You especially men. As women, we think, men just like, they don't really feel as deeply as we women do when it comes to sex. Men do. And it actually can be worse for men because they don't even express it. They bottle it up inside and it becomes almost toxic, okay? Because men naturally, in their natural archetype, is to keep women safe. If we could just sum it down to one thing that a man's duty, you could say, he has with a woman is to keep her safe. So when a man knows that he's not keeping this woman safe, okay, by being dishonest to her, okay, by, playing some sort of, some mind game with her, that creates a disrespect. He doesn't cherish her. And when men, they lose that allness in a woman, like, I cherish and preserve you, men cannot successfully truly spiritually grow and mature. As long as they're viewing women as, you could say, in some pornographic image of just flesh. Just flesh. Because men know, okay, and we have known this for thousands of years, okay, that women are the voice of reason. So when men view a woman as flesh, as just pure flesh to just get the edge off for me to get a release, he is denying and rejecting within himself and within the collective the voice of reason. Women, we are like the judges. Before we had white male judges, okay, we had female judges for a long time in this tribal eras, we could say. Women were the judges. They would bring order to the unruly barbarian men who are completely addicted to their sensual pleasures. We were the matriarch. We were the judge to the community, to bring a voice of reason, to bring a guidance, a wisdom, a knowledge. So when a child goes to a mother, they're looking for guidance, they're looking for knowledge, and they're looking for wisdom. When a child goes to the father, they're looking for a want, a desire, and they're looking for, how can I execute that? How can I put myself out there in the world, Dad? How can I show up for myself? How can I discipline myself? How can I stand for myself? How can I stand up? That's when we go to the dad. But more of the heart, we go to the mother. How can I better love myself? I've been feeling down. How can I take care of myself? What do I need to do, Mother, that can make me feel more creative, fulfilled, and happy in my life? So when we disrespect just one woman, it's like the whole thing, okay? Because we're all connected as women. And I've seen men who literally look at every woman as the same. And that's what it shows you. All women are connected. So if you view one woman as this fleshy being that you just want to get the edge off of, and you do some sex addiction and all these bad habits, basically that's just going to spill off into everything until you cherish and preserve the woman. Okay? Even if that means as a man you're celibate. But that takes tremendous will, because in our culture, and not just from the U.S., American, but also in other cultures, Eastern and Western, it takes a lot of will, because we have devalued woman for such a long time. She's always been in the background as the voice of reason, whispering, like, yeah, I think we should do it like this. But always rejected or denied. So part of the great transformation that's going to help us to get through this shaky period on planet Earth is that we need to encourage the woman to see herself as a queen or a goddess. And a part of that is man giving them the safety for them to truly unravel and to bloom. So with men, again, if a woman is not comfortable in sex, I mean, if she knows, and we are women, we know, like, if this man is really into us or not. We know, let's just be honest. There is no, oh, I didn't know that he was not into me. We know as women, okay? It's just we like to, not pay attention, I guess. So when men make us feel unsafe, we cannot surrender to him. And therefore the sex with a woman directs the energy. Let's be clear, not the man. And when she is blocked, meaning she's like only letting him get so far, like so close to her, you might as, you're just kind of having sex with just this part of her. Like, you might as well be having sex while you're like, this like far away from each other. And for men, that's really unfulfilling, because a lot of men in the meaningless sex culture is that they want to be moved. They want to move energy. They need to, get some edge off. Okay? And when a woman is not really available and she's not really there, okay, it's like, that wasn't really much. That did not move any kundalini within me. That did not, ecstatic, no, that was not that. Okay, and again, it leads to a lot of men depression. It leads to depression. Because men, they actually use a lot of energy, so it becomes draining, particularly for men. When they're extending out all energy to multiple people, it's draining. And particularly with men, I see them having issues with finances. So there is a correlation between meaningless sex, or just, multiple people, and finances. So it's like, see your seed as a seed for creation, or a seed for abundance. So you just kind of giving it all to all these multiple people. I feel like you're wasting, or you're draining that seed. You're draining that abundance. So again, this is a taboo conversation. We don't really talk about this. People are like, oh yeah, right. I've seen men, like, I've talked to men, I'm like, well, why don't you just kind of go celibate and wait for the right person that like, you can really have an ecstatic experience, and just, build your energy up high, so that when you do have that experience, it's amazing beyond your dreams. And I'm like, no, I have to, like, a man needs what he needs, and a man needs sex. Men they are more physical than us. But what I'm seeing a lot of men, even men in their 30s and 40s, they're dried up. Even if they wanted to have, like, that soulful, ecstatic sexual union, they can't even do it. Because all their vitality is just gone. So that's about that. Now with women's a little bit, what we say, it's different. Okay. So with women, so we view sex as very sacred, okay, because sex is like a spiritual union to us, okay, and men, they're a little bit different. Again, they're more physical. They view sex as more of like a pleasure, as, like I said, a moving energy. Men are about, like, let me move some energy. I have a lot of energy. I got a heat. I gotta get that heat moving throughout my body. And women have that as well. They have that heat, that creative heat. And that creative heat to a woman, when it is shared through sex, it is for bond. So women, we're about bonding. Because we have babies. So it's our instinct to bond with anything that is very deep within us. So a penis goes deep within you. So just like a baby is deep within you, we create that same sort of bond. We're bonding with the penis. And like the same thing. The penis, it goes just as we say as deep, the cervix, as a baby. As a baby is just as deep within us. So we bond. And that bond is a very intimate bond. Okay, we get very deeply connected, even intertwined. And then men can be like, whoa, a little bit. I've seen men like freaked out, like, oh my God, this woman is like bonding with me, and she's like intertwined, and I'm like, I'm just kind of this is just not that. Men need to realize that that's just who we are as women. And women need to recognize that we can do the whole, like, men thing, like no strings attached sort of thing, but that doesn't work for both men and women. All it does is depression. And it makes us feel worse about ourselves. Most people that I see right now who have been doing that for a long time, men and women, they don't really feel good about themselves. I can see it. They don't really think of themselves as, like, worthy, It does really take a toll on your self-worth. So with women, again, a man is entering a woman. A woman does not enter into a man. So it's a lot more, it's a deeper experience for a woman. Okay, because she's allowing this man into her body, not into her body, into her spiritual energy, into her, you could say, her temple, her soul's temple. Her womb is one of her most sacred places. That perineum, that vagina, that cervix is one of the most sacred places for a woman. So when she invites this man into her, she is inviting the bond to remain with her. like a child. When we have a child, we have that bond with us for a lifetime, right? We're always feeding that bond. We're nurturing that bond, even if our child is, even if we're dead and our child is here, we're still giving nurture and care and love to that bond. We want to see it through. So with women, we can turn it off. We can get very numb. Okay, we can get very desensitized by meaningless sex in the way that we don't know how to bond because it gets out of whack. So when we participate, because we want soulful like sex, we want it to be like heartfelt, like we want to like, let's heart, and men need to know this. Like women, it's like let's meditate upon our hearts. That's the woman, right? And men are like, ooh, that's kind of a little different. But yeah, let's meditate upon our hearts and let's send out a prayer to the cosmos and to humanity, to a better humanity, or let's awaken our sexual energy, move it into creativity, and let's dance with it. Men are into that too, but women, they really want to explore that. Women are actually wild when it comes to expressing sexuality. When it's wild as in like fleshy, that's not what a woman wants. They're just doing that because they think that's what the man wants, or they're just trying to move the energy the man wants to move. So they do the whole rabbit stuff to help the man move his energy, but really a woman does not want that. No, she just does that to kind of like feed the man's fantasy kind of thing. But then a man, he always knows like, oh, this woman's just playing into like, she's not really opening up herself. And a man wants a woman to be open because it's very shallow if just a penis goes in the vagina and that's it. It's like, I want to go somewhere with you, like on a journey with this, not just to, I could put my mop in a bucket all day. I don't need to do this with a person. I want to go on a journey. And that's a part of spiritual growth and maturity, is going on a journey like a judge. Usually, the judge gives you a teaching and you are to practice that teaching. Well, then think of it. Even if it's, you're going to divorce courts and you are wanting, custody over your children. They give you a teaching such as you are to do it like this and practice it. Practice it well. Have the experience of it and see if it works. See how we can move things around. That's a judge. It gives you a teaching, and that teaching takes you on a journey, and that journey gives you experiences, and usually you spiritually grow and you mature. Mop in a bucket, that doesn't go anywhere. And I see a lot of men, it's like, this is not going anywhere. And I see women, this is not going anywhere. And it's like very frustrating for a lot of people. A lot of people have sexual frustration because they know this is not going anywhere. Okay? So with women, the difference with women is that it can be devastating for a woman. Okay, it can be very, very devastating for women. And women, what happens is they start to distrust men. And once a woman distrusts men, it's very, it takes a lot of will and a lot of healing to repair that, especially if it's in childhood, like any, molestation, rape, anything of that nature. Women distrust men. And when they distrust men, they can't fully connect, and therefore the bond, it becomes dysfunctional. It becomes a dysfunctional sort of bond that we have with men. And also as women, like we are quite magnetic and attractive. We actually have it within us to manifest a beautiful partnership. It's just the fact that we think of ourselves so low that blocks it. But we can heal all of this. Really, the healing starts with the woman. The man, he will do his sex addiction until basically the woman decides like, hey, I'm the woman. I create the generation through me and through my efforts and my voice of reason. I decide a new voice for the generation, and that is, I would like to experience a soulful, sexual experience with a partner that makes me feel safe and that wants to go on a journey with me. And once a woman really holds that to herself, all the men have to change. Unless they're just gonna, do their sex addiction by themselves. All of the men have to change. Because men know that women will lead them somewhere. Like, people know if I go to the judge, I will get a teaching that will better my life. Women is very much the betterment of the life. Just like the judge. Just like the woman is the betterment of the baby. Now, when the woman doesn't have a voice of reason, because she has so much distrust for herself, for society, for humanity, for men, for this, that, and the other, she doesn't trust herself. And when we don't trust ourselves as a woman, and that our magnetism, our natural attraction, our authenticity is enough to create an abundant and happy life for ourselves, our joy isn't enough to fill us up and to complete us. As a woman, we start to feel like we're not enough as a woman. We just don't listen to ourselves. We don't listen to the voice of reason, our intuition, our creativity. We don't take action on our heart's desires. We don't set those boundaries. We don't set that discernment. We don't get clear. Because deep inside, we don't feel like we're worthy of that. So we get into these bonds, these dysfunctional bonds, I like to say, with men, where men are just spilling out their energy, kind of like a hose, just spilling out their frustration onto us, and then we just kind of put up with it. So men, they can get a lot of energy that's built up. Like I said, men don't know how to express themselves. So that gets built up, and then we have to have, a lot of men use sex as a way to alleviate the heat that's just building inside of them from all the frustration of, their life. And usually that built up frustration within a man, it comes from you have an expression that you're not allowing to come out, like you're choked up. You're choked up, like you're mute, you've got blocks up in all your chakras. So we want to move energy, particularly as men, because they're more physical, they want to move energy. So a lot of men who actually have low vitality, they don't know how to move it, and through, you can say, even snowboarding, or surfing, or even ice skating, or rock climbing, they don't know how to move it in that way because they are maybe don't have enough vitality to do that, so they just do it the cheap way, which is just go sex with this real quick. But it never goes anywhere, right? Let's be honest, everyone. Does that even go anywhere? Does it lead you on a journey where you get to discover yourself and you have spiritual growth and maturity, and you get to express, and you get to have intimacy and friendship and share and care? And a lot of men, they just don't have the energy. So women, when a man does not have the energy, that's a no. He needs to build his energy up. Because women, we have so much energy. We have actually more energy than men do. We have more energy than men do because we have to. In the not so distant past, we used to have 12 babies. My great-grandfather from Spain was a part of 26. You know how much energy it takes to have 26 children? Oh my God, I don't even close to the energy level. These women in not so distant past were incredibly a bomb of energy to have all these babies and stuff like that. Okay? So we have naturally more energy, and men naturally can tend to lose energy quicker than us women. Because again, we're a furnace. We have a lot of, we could say, wood you put in the furnace that kind of just lights up the fire and keeps the desire burning. So we have a lot of passion within us. And that passion is a little different from men. We call it passion for humanity. Well, men have passion for nature and for the environment. They have passion for being alive, like the lion. I'm alive, that I'm connected to the land and the sky. Well, we as women, our passion is for the community. So when our community lights up, woo, we're like, yeah, we feel so happy. But when our community is down in the dumps, not so much. So when a man, when his environment, you could say, the land and sky and the life, when there's not much liveness around him, the passion goes down. Okay. So I wanted to talk about this culture of meaningless sex, because I do believe that it's reaching ahead. I'm starting to see that within men and women. I feel a lot of men are realizing this is not actually opening doors to greater prosperity or greater connection to myself and to people. It's making me depressed, it's draining me, and it overall just confuses me. Both men and women are confused by it. And then women are starting to feel like, okay, this does not improve my self-worth. It does not make me feel better about myself. It actually makes me feel worse about myself, like deep inside. So both of these, both sides is real, like coming to an head, where I think we're going to start to see some transformation when it comes to our sexual culture and the way that shallow, superficial, empty sex it's kind of like, okay, no, it doesn't go anywhere. So it doesn't go anywhere. I think a lot of people are realizing that. It doesn't go anywhere. And without heart, without soul, what is it? What is it? It's like nothing, really. It's nothing special. So a part of what's going to be moving us forward is that, especially even with my own journey, of being celibate, and there are many women who are celibate, and men who are celibate as well, and we see it as like, some sort of nun or some, weird stuff going on, witchy stuff, if you're not having sex 3 times a week, then you are witchy, okay? And with sex, there's nothing wrong with having, a lot of fire, a lot of passion with your partner, but the heart and soul, when it is to elevate you, to make you feel safe, that is what brings more happiness rather than less. More happiness. Sex should never take away your happiness. It should never make you feel worse about yourself. It should never create some sort of tie with somebody that just makes you feel drained, or that just makes you feel like there's just a voice in the back of your head that's just kind of like, blocking you from what it is you really want to do as a woman and as a man, particularly as a woman. A lot of women I see are haunted by, these feeling of not good enough. And a lot of it is deeply subconscious, because again, when a man enters a woman just like a baby, that's basically entering to your subconscious and an opportunity to leave behind whatever it is that they want to leave behind in your subconscious. So we want to present ourselves as vibrant, radiant, right? We don't want to present ourselves as murky and, kind of like, I distrust men, and I distrust society, and men are like, I don't respect women, and that whole like it doesn't go anywhere, that back and forth. We just want to let that go, forgiveness for ourselves. Because that back and forth between men and women, like women don't trust men don't respect women, what that does is it creates a disconnect between men and women. But we need each other. We need each other. Women needs that safety support, that it's the support system of the man, that encourager, that motivator. He's a lot of passion. He has his own wisdom. It's just it's about how to make things happen, how to be a builder. Woman, let me teach you how to build. And in women, men learn so much about how to express their emotions. How to resolve past pains, or resolve childhood fears, or how to really be yourself. It's what men learn from women. But a part of, we can say, coming into, we could say, sacred sexuality, okay, with a man and a woman, is that both men and women, it is an intention to elevate both people. It is an intention to elevate. And when we have that great intention, doors unlock and it becomes joyful. It becomes empowering. It becomes a powerhouse. Because when we truly send off an intention to elevate creation, so that creation can be more, rhythmic and fun-loving and visionary and more creativity coming through human. Basically what we're doing is we are connecting with a greater power, a greater sexual power, a greater creative power. And vast majority will not experience that in sex. The vast majority will just experience the mop in the bucket, that won't even be remembered. It's just like, oh yeah, I did that, I'm tied to this, I didn't even enjoy myself, it was just because I needed to get some energy out. Totally a bummer. It's like, oh man, a bummer. Okay? Because we know that the powerhouse of sexuality, the same as creativity, that energy, that women have, and they want to share it, but not with the Tom, Dick, and Harry. Women will not be like, I may give you a little, little bone, but you're not going to get the deepest part of me, my heart and soul, as long as, I don't feel that we are both, if I don't feel within myself that I love myself, and I don't feel in yourself that you love yourself. That's the one thing about sex. When a woman doesn't love herself, when a man doesn't love himself, that sex doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't really go anywhere, because sex is, in creativity itself, is the fullest expression of how wonderful and amazing and beautiful you are, how wonderful you are as a person, how wonderful the person that you're with views themselves. Not ego, I got the big boobs, the big penis. Talking about you as your heart and soul. And when we're not in that place, sex will just constantly just be about, I got the big boob, I got the big penis. And that's that. But all things fade, and we know this. The flesh fades, the flesh changes. We cannot attach ourselves to the flesh. Because the real depth and mystery and mystic, evolution of ourselves is through the heart and soul. And we practice that through respect for women, okay, meaning understanding that a woman, she does need time. She has so much fire, but a lot of times she does need time to really, come into that deep intimacy. If she does it too soon, she kind of freaks out and then kind of becomes a little bit awkward with the person. So man, having that deep respect for this woman to kind of be okay, we need to really develop this friendship, really align in a heart space, in a mental space, in a physical, spiritual space, before we dive into that, so that you can feel entirely safe with me. And safety for a woman is not, weak, I feel safe with you. No, women, we have been beat down, raped. I mean, you don't even want to know all the stuff that's going on in the past and now on this planet. So sex to a woman it's very vulnerable. It's a lot more vulnerable to a woman than it is to a man. And women don't realize that. It's a lot more vulnerable because we have it in our DNA, we have it in our aura, our psyche, all of the family members in the past that have gone through so much just torment when it comes to their sex. Torment. torment, shamed and accused and judged and forced and all of that kind of thing. So sex is very vulnerable. It's like a little pearl that, we're a little shy, until we can, if we give it prematurely, share that pearl, and that man, he doesn't really even look at the pearl. He's not like, oh my gosh, you have a pearl, it's so beautiful. Then we start to like clam up, and we start to shut down, and we start to just like not really like kind of like sort of thing. So when a man respects, that woman, okay, she can really feel safe, comfortable, and she can really open up. And when a woman opens up, a man actually has the opportunity to really step up and to grow and to mature. And there's nothing more magical than a man, as a man, I'm not a man, but as a man, is to spiritually grow and to mature in the way that you are building a life. You're building a legacy of a happy family. There's nothing more fulfilling for a man than building a happy family. And that takes spiritual growth and maturity to know how to really create that happy family. Not, family that's, chaos and nobody knows anybody and just multiple sort of partners and babies. That's not fulfilling for a man. Man is about creating shelter, about making a woman feel safe, so that she can be a queen, a goddess, so she can be expressive, she can be creative, and she can be his muse. Inspire me, darling. And then when woman, trusting a man is very important. Like I said, as women, we've gone through things. A lot of, we've gone through things. Again, men, when they've gone too much meaningless sex, they have a dirty look in their eye. I've seen it in men. It's like, ooh. Like, it's almost like I can see pornography just in their eyes, and just this whole, sort of, I don't know, unfriendly sort of encounter. So with a woman trusting a man, that's her journey when it comes to really bringing herself closer to her partner, and the man closer to his partner is trusting a man. And a part of trusting a man as a woman is he has to be trustworthy. And you as a woman, you have to decide that. And I love what Yogi Bhajan says. Yogi Bhajan says, show me the past relationships. Ooh, that's a big one. Men are like, I don't know, man, no. And then show me your tax returns. Okay, that's what Yogi Bhajan says to women, so that women can best find, because he was about arranged marriages, so he would arrange people, and they would be successful marriages, because he could see, like, okay, who is going to better each other, and who's going to destroy each other. You need to think, is this relationship bettering me, or is it destroying me? You're one or the other, you're not both. You're one or the other, and you have to decide that. You have to go into your own sort of self-hypnosis and really decide, is this bettering me, or this destroying me? Okay, really be clear about that, okay, because as a woman, if you're destroyed by a man, that is big time. A lot of people, they don't recover from it. A lot of women don't. It takes a lot of will, a lot of healing. So, be cautious, discernment. So with trusting a man, he has to be trustworthy. So yeah, I was like, be honest. As women, let's be honest. Okay, let's be honest. We want shelter. We want to be safe. And a part of safety is that a man who's trustworthy. A man is of his word. And you as a woman, you have to feel it out within yourself. But a part of why we get, interlocked prematurely with a man, and then we start to give him everything, and we like, oh, you're my everything. And we this man is not even trustworthy, because we've bonded with him before we actually decided for ourselves, is this man trustworthy? Is this man going to bring me shelter? Is he going to bring me safety? Shelter, safety, shelter, safety. So a part of is a man knowing, looking at him, you say his past relationships, asking the questions about that. So you can see, like, his where he's been, and really looking like, okay, if he has difficulties expressing that, then maybe he does have difficulties with intimacy and with discussion. And that's good to know in your head, because if you ever go through something with him that's a little bit shaky, you need to know that he has some difficulties expressing himself, being intimate, and a discussion. It's good to know like how he was in the previous relationships, particularly as a woman, so you can see how he handles it. How he handles it, so that you're not like stung when that happens again, because everybody has a relationship pattern or relay between multiple relationships. So in order to really break that as a woman, is you have to respond differently than the women in his past relationships did. So what that looks like is, again, if you really get to know this man and get to know how he was in these past relationships, how he handled it, then you can actually break that relay that he may have with multiple relationships, where it always ends this sort of, he closes off and then she gets mad, and then like that becomes sort of like pull away and then bye kind of thing. Okay. And when you really like want to have this man trustworthy, it's really quick to see if he is going to give you shelter or safety, because he'll either step up or he'll just be like, nah, let me drop off because I don't want it. I don't want to reveal myself. And that's one thing about as a woman is we are actually a lot more transparent than men. Men can be quite mysterious, and women are mysterious too. But we're transparent in the way that, again, we have so much creativity. We know what we want. And when we're honest, okay, because what we want, like a lot of women know, this is what I want. It's just a matter of fact, do we as women feel good enough to actually command it and to say it and to express it, to be honest with it? So establishing that trustworthiness, especially when a man really wants her to open up, it's letting her know that I am trustworthy. And part of trustworthy is not I'm trustworthy with you as it's my woman. A woman is looking, you're trustworthy to yourself, meaning you're responsible for yourself, meaning you're trustworthy to yourself. What that looks like is you're trustworthy, that you're gonna stand up for yourself as a man. You're gonna express yourself. You're going to help yourself. You're gonna make corrective decisions. You're gonna be honest. You're gonna be there. That's gonna be there for yourself. Because when a man cannot be there for himself, meaning he escapes and then he denies and avoids and ignores himself, that will never really go anywhere with a woman, because he'll just do that in a relationship. So yeah. So I wanted to dive into this. Because I love the whole the psychology of men and women in their whole sex their whole sex culture. So I created this video because I want all of you guys to come into, again, intimacy. A lot of people think, oh, I got some intimacy last night, and it's just like a joke. A lot of people, they tell themselves. Intimacy is vulnerable. It means, are you like expressing yourself? Like, are you being honest? Like, are you looking them in the eyes? If you're not, that's not intimacy. That's a joke. And so a lot of people, it's very sad to realize that, like, oh, this was just a joke. Yeah, intimacy is you looking them in the eyes. You want to learn about their heart. You want to learn about their desires, their wants. You want to make them feel safe as a man, and make them feel safe, protected, and create the shelter for them where they can just be themselves, explosive energy. And as women, you are befriending this man in the way that you are allowing him to express and discuss about his inner self, his inner shadows, you can say. So that you can allow, again, when men and women, when they really go intimate with each other, like really have a really good relationship, friendship, I mean, that is so healing. So healing. I think that's why we're all like hungry for relationships or jumping into multiple relationship, because men and women, we are hungry. We yearn for men's healing. As women, we want to heal our distrust of men because of, da 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 da. And as men, they want to heal their disrespect or for women because of their childhood, whatever. And a part of healing that, and in that sort of man and woman, immense healing can take place. But we have to be, as men and women, we have to be within ourselves. We have to love ourselves to be able to receive that. Because as long as we are, think that we're not good enough, we'll never really show up. The divine could give us all kinds of messages and soulmates and you could say opportunities. But as long as we don't really think we're enough, or that we're not available to ourselves, and as long as we are hiding from ourselves, or we don't really like ourselves, we're never really going to experience like intimacy and a bond and a friendship with somebody else. It will always just be like what it is for a lot of people, just completely transactional. It's just transactional. I do this for you and you do this for me. Just like our world and the whole institution of it. It's just transactional. There's nothing, I don't want to know you. I don't really care. So we all want that intimacy, that bond, that deep friendships. We all want love. And love is a completely like unfolding and an unraveling of who you are. It betters you in a way, like it completely challenges you. So if you have a lot of distrust, your partner will kind of like challenge you to like really, work through that. And, disrespect for women, challenge you to work through that. But most of that, we can say that work we do is usually within ourselves. Within ourselves. Because as long as we are triggered always, we're never really going to find our steadiness to actually breathe with this person. As long as we're triggered by this and that, and just carrying so many, pains and aches and traumas within us, we're never going to be able to really let go. So a lot of this is not codependency of the relationship to get them to heal me. No. I have to really, because you'll just be triggered. If you're looking for a partner to heal you, they'll just trigger you, and then you run, and then another person will trigger you, and then this relationship will really be triggering because it's not reciprocated and it's not really functional with yourself. When you really decide, like, okay, I am gonna allow myself to let go of all these aches and these pains and traumas, so that when the universe presents me with, let's say, a king, I am a queen. I'm not a peasant that thinks low of myself, that's desperate or lonely, or needing somebody to benefactor me. I'm a queen, meaning I'm holding my ground. So you triggered me, but I'm gonna hold my ground. I'm gonna stand my ground, and I'm gonna stand up, and I'm gonna stand for myself. That's what women and men need to do. Stand up, stand out, and stand up, or stand for yourself. And that, in a relationship, two people in a relationship who are like that brings about immense growth. So healing within you could say too, a very healing relationship with someone, that will not happen as long as I'm triggered, you're triggered, and then we're just triggered and then agitated, you're irritated, kind of ruffling each other's feathers and, not wanting to let go kind of thing. It's like, okay, I let go, I stand up for myself, I stand out, meaning this is who I am, I love myself and I stand for myself. Meaning, I have my back. I have my back. I have my back. Okay? So I just wanted to leave you guys with this message. So yes, may it bless you and help you to spiritually grow on your journey through life.